We have similar backgrounds, and our backgrounds basically is just agnostic to atheist, both of us. And at one point in my journey, and it took like 6 months of studying, I crossed the line and I went, it now takes more faith to not believe in God, blind faith, than to believe in God. However, believing in God and the leap to believing Jesus is a whole different ballgame. And you have 2 complete chapters in here on Jesus. And the first one is a little more technical because it's a big objection to some people. And you'll hear this or see this in movies or books when people are trying to go, oh, Jesus didn't really even exist. And it's called the Christ myth. What is it?
Yeah, the Christ myth basically is a kind of a popular view recently over the last, say, maybe 40 years, especially with social media and stuff over the last 20, that basically, A, Jesus didn't exist. And B, not only didn't he exist, that he's basically based off of a bunch of mythology that predated him. So the concept of having 12 disciples, walking on water, death and resurrection, feeding 5,000, all of this was Egyptian mythology, Osiris and Horus, and born of a virgin, born on December 25th, all of that. It already pre-existed in Greek mythology.
All these people say, oh, they were born on the 25th, all this kind of stuff. Therefore, Jesus is just another myth.
Yeah.
And when somebody goes, how do you answer that? For example, Horus.
Yeah.
You unpacked that and discovered most of the stuff they say about him is not true.
Yeah, I mean, well, some of the basic stuff's easy. I mean, from a Christian standpoint, I mean, and this stuff's popularized on things like the movie Zeitgeist on the internet, or Bill Maher's movie Religulous, or Tom Harper at a higher scholarly level. Pretty easy. I mean, no Christian claims that Jesus was born on December 25th. We celebrate that because we're all depressed in December. So at least in Vancouver we are. So we just celebrate it when it's pouring rain. Yeah. And no one claims Jesus was born on December 25th. And in fact, no one really claims. You know, they say, well, the three wise men visit. We're like, well, the Christian story is not 3 wise men visited Jesus on his birth on December 25th. Jesus wasn't born on December 25th. He might have been born March, April. 3 wise men, that's mythology. It says that there were magi who were wizards, basically Babylonian magicians at the time, and it doesn't say there were 3. The reason we come up with 3 is because they brought gold, frankincense, and myrrh, and all of our imagination were like, well, there must have been one guy that carried each. It's like there could have been 25 guys that came. Nobody claims these things. None of these are parallels with Christianity. They're all mythology in and of themselves. No Christian claims Jesus was born. So all those parallels are gone. But then there's this question of, what do you do with the parallels anyway?
Yeah, in other words, and the first thing is this, the reason we're actually tackling this chapter in all of our small groups is this: you're going to see stuff where they go, all these things, December 25th, all this kind of stuff, therefore Jesus was a myth. It unravels all that and gives you all the answers you need about that, okay? And then my favorite 2 pages in the book are so good, you got to read them because... Tell them why you put this in and then read it. I didn't know this.
Yeah, so this is basically my point is you can take a lot of information, eliminate a bunch of things, isolate information, and try to compare 2 things and come up with all kinds of mythologies. It's called, scholars call it Parallel-a-mania. And so people can do it with a lot of things. And so the example I give...
Parallel-a-mania.
Yeah, the example I give is JFK versus Abraham Lincoln. And so I point out both men were concerned with civil rights. Both were elected to Congress in 1846 and 1946. Lincoln was elected president in 1860, Kennedy in 1960. Both were slain on a Friday before a major holiday. Both were shot in the presence of their wives and another couple. Of the other couple, the man was wounded, but neither wife was. Both were shot from behind in the head. Lincoln was shot in the Ford's Theater in Box 7. Kennedy was shot in Car 7 of the Dallas Motorcade. Both were pronounced dead at a location with the initials PH, Peterson House for Lincoln and Parkland Hospital for Kennedy. The successors of both men were named Johnson. Andrew Johnson was born in 1808. Lyndon B. Johnson was born in 1908. Both assassins were privates in the military. John Wilkes Booth was born in 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald, both 3 names, were born in 1939. Both fled from a theater to a library, while Oswald fled from a library to a theater. Both assassins were taken into custody by a police officer named Baker, and Lincoln was shot in Ford's Theater. Kennedy was shot in a Ford car. The model of the Ford was a Lincoln. So go home and do what you want with that. You isolate a bunch of information, and all of a sudden 2 things are exactly the same. No person in history is going to say, because these parallels exist, ergo JFK didn't exist.
You will now have all the information you can talk about in this chapter the next time Bill Maher comes out with a video laying this stuff out. You'll have all the accurate answers. God bless. Have a great conversation.